Okay, recording now.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the bi-weekly. Okay, everybody should have access to the community sync Google Doc.
Yeah.
So we can start with the questions and then questions and discussions. Right. So I'll go ahead. Pipeline for time release. Tor has built a rocket builder that will help us automate the releases. There is still work to be done on the infrastructure side, but in a few weeks we'll be able to just sign a commit and then submit it. Then the build will automatically build and signed.
Cool.
Yeah, I would like to emphasize that the Rocket Builder PR for now explicitly a optimization of signing releases. So let's consider this as a first step one.
Okay, now about the Rocket Run privileges.
It was like a discussion we were having today with other people.
Can you guys speak a little louder? The audio is pretty bad.
Yeah, but we have some problem with the microphone, so we'll get it.
Have like an air conditioner or a fan in the background. There's a lot of white noise. Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Whoever it was, thank you. Yeah, so we were discussing before, like we are adding a lot of stuff on the security side. So soon, probably we will merge this second stuff. We already have the capabilities and some other things that are like basically trying to hide or to make read only some mount point. So the question is like, when we need to do something a bit more advanced, like in Fly or in Rocket, you basically have to go and disable one by one all of this security stuff. And Sergius today was basically fighting with it. And so we were wondering if it was like having making sense to have a minus privilege option. And then if it was like something that we want to add, if it should be like granular, like what you want to disable, or if it should be just some Boolean stuff like privilege true or privilege false. I'm not really a great fan of having a Boolean flag because it's typically like whatever is suggested first when something doesn't work, and some people don't really care about like what they are disabling and which kind of security they are basically opting out. So in that sense, I would prefer to have something where you specify what you really want to disable. And on top of that, there is also another consideration that basically for capabilities, we already have some flags for Rocket Run, where you basically can remove or retain some specific capabilities. And in the second PR is the same, so I just basically added the same. So that would be like a duplicate flag to add and remove capabilities and seccomp filters. But that would also be doing some other things like removing this path filtering, this path masking or not. So the question is like, do we want a single flag which is doing everything? And if you want it like Boolean or not? or we keep on adding single flags for single stuff, like maybe another, I don't know, disable path protection or something like that. Question mark.
So I can chime in maybe with the first comment. I mean, as far as I understood Rocket's tradition, it is pretty chatty about opting out of security features. So you have to consciously opt out. So if we want to retain this tradition, I would say yes, we would have. I'm all in for having separate opt-out command line options for each and every security option that you need to have, or not need to have, in order to do things like Rocket and Rocket. But I do believe that this also has implications on the kubelet wrapper. So maybe Ian can chime in too, because I'm doing experiments of essentially launching Rocket in Rocket, and also using two flavors for it. One the CoreOS flavor and one the Fly flavor. And I do believe that experiments that I've been doing today with launching Rocket in Rocket using Rocket Fly as the outer Rocket environment is essentially the same as being a kubelet, just manually. So, and I do believe that if we integrate these kinds of more modes into the kubelet, we would have to be aware that we also in this environment, essentially in the kubelet wrapper, we would have to opt out of each and every security feature.
Yeah, I can chime in. And I think that it actually has a behavioral difference to have a flag that opts out of everything versus individual flags for other reasons as well. One easy example is when you add new privileged things, new security features, you want to turn those security features on by default, but turning those on shouldn't affect most applications, but could affect applications that want security features off. And for those applications, if you can opt out by default from everything, it saves them pain. An example of this being running kubelet without Fly instead in a regular stage 1 CoreOS, you would probably just want to opt out of everything because it's a trusted program. You're trying to run it very close to the host. On the other hand, I still agree that it makes a lot of sense from a security perspective to opt out of things. Like I like the concept of opting out. It's possible we could do both and have individual opt-outs and encourage people to use them, and have some way to either list all of them so that you could opt out of all of them to emulate -- privilege, or just have a flag like that we discourage. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a strong enough opinion. I do think that if you're trying to emulate Docker's privilege mode, having an explicit opt out of everything is useful.
Okay. I will mute or?
No.
For me, I'm mostly thinking about the second stuff, and it still makes sense to have some flag for the second, because you can tune a lot of stuff, like fine tuning a lot of stuff. For example, like specific syscall that you want to filter and which way to filter them and stuff like that. And but I guess that most people will not be interested in doing that kind of fine tuning for every single syscall. So they would probably be interested in something like, let me quickly turn off just the second stuff because I need some specific things. So probably it would make sense to have this minus privilege second things. And once we have it, it would be easy to add other things like the capabilities or a generic wildcard to say all, and we just disable everything, which would be something like a privilege true, but a bit more like conscious. So you know that you are disabling multiple stuff and which stuff are you disabling, because you get it from the man page, the full list. So that would be basically the same as what we currently have for the insecure option, where before it was something like either we skip everything or we have all the security on, and now it's mostly basically single flags for everything, and that will be the same. So that would be my idea.
Okay. Any more input?
I think Luca's suggestion sounds good to me. Not just one Boolean, but something more like fine grain, but not so fine grain as like individual second things or stuff like that. So we can have both things, I guess.
Okay. I think that just to run is enough also to cover the use case, or do you have to cover stuff for different things?
So you can repeat? Can you repeat that? I didn't get it.
It's like it's just an option to run, or do we need also something a bit more specific for fly and maybe something like that?
I don't know.
I think it's just for run because fly is already quite separate and it doesn't apply any security feature anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another question, should the flag privilege thing should it apply to the pod or to an individual app?
I think they will basically override everything in the pod.
Okay.
So it would be like a flag for run, not a flag for every single app. I don't know. It's like I was not thinking about that. Probably. I would say the pod.
I would also like to add that we can go even further and remove all, because the apps that will be using this in regularly will probably be automating this. So having specified flags for them won't be a big deal, but users, since they'll have to specify this constantly, this verbose 3 flags for capabilities, PATS and SECOM. I mean, it will demonstrate that it's unsecure and it shouldn't be used regularly outside stuff like kubelet. Since we also don't want Boolean flags, I think all is a bit similar to that one.
Well, the justification for all is for forward compatibility.
Yeah. That's what Ifan was mentioning.
Yeah.
Like, if we keep adding security things, like nowadays we don't have seconds, but tomorrow we have second. And if you're already saying privileged all, for example, for really trusted application, you are already opting out for future stuff.
Without having to change your automation.
Yeah.
If you don't add all, you should make it not error on an unknown privilege.
Yes, but,
Yeah.
but also Boolean isn't much different from.
No. It's not much different, but you know explicitly what you are saving in every single version.
Okay.
How this option should work with KVM flavor? Because I don't think that privilege all will work with virtual machine.
I think it is just stuff that you are passing to systemd in the pod. So I mean, when you are creating single services. So I don't know what is the status with KVM, but for example, for capabilities and SecComp and paths too, it is just something that we write in the service file for every single app. So I think it shouldn't be a problem for the stage.
So it's isolation between stage 1 and stage 2, but not from the host actually. Most of them.
Not all.
Yeah, all of them listed here.
So the privilege flag is for separation stage 1 and stage 2, or separation stage 1 from the host? Because kubelet example is rather separation of stage 1 from the host.
It is. Let's say that it is time to protect the host from the application, so host from stage 2, but they are applied between stage 1 and stage 2. So it's like the configuration is done by stage 1 and it applies to stage 2, and at that point you are sandboxing stage 2 in order to avoid damaging the host. In the normal CoreOS case, because it's like we are running on the same kernel and we are sharing a lot of stuff.
Any more questions from the KVM side? Or comments?
I would need to review this pull request and check how this will be looking for our flavor, because I'm not sure if it will be working with a virtual machine. If it's separation only between stage 1 and stage 2, it should be working, but if it has anything common with with host and stage 1, so we can't bypass a virtual machine.
I think that in the end, all these kind of protection are more or less not that much useful in your case with the virtual machine, because you're already separating the kernel interface. In our case, it's mostly for protecting the single kernel that we have from applications. So it is basically always trying to drop kind of capabilities, privileges, and dangerous syscall, because otherwise you could use them to manipulate the host, the kernel on the host. And in your case, probably you already have the same protection by using an antivirus.
Yes, we have this protection, so that's why I was asking how we should handle running KVM pod with flag privilege all. So we should just raise exception and not start the pod, or just run the pod and don't inform user that he doesn't have those all privileges.
Okay, so for the capabilities and seccom stuff, it is something that is still working the same. You're just like, applications are still retaining all the capabilities and access to all the syscall that you have in your hypervisor. And regarding the path stuff, I don't know, to be honest, because it's mostly something related to bin mounting /sys and /proc. And we added it a couple of releases ago, and I don't know how it was working before. So I don't know right now how does it work if you're trying to bind mount stuff from the host to the KVM flavor from sys and procfs. So I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay, so we'll review it for the next community sync. I think this will be the best solution.
But basically, when you say privileged all, you are just deleting all the security stuff that we have been adding for a couple of months. So we are just back to the initial situation a couple of months ago. And I don't know how it was working then, but it will be the same.
Yes, that's why I was asking, because we can't remove all our security stuff, because most of this is handled just by creating the virtual machine.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know how to handle this flag in our flavor.
Okay.
I have a suggestion and also maybe a question to resolve all this stuff. Do we already have in Rocket? I think we don't. Something like stage 1 specific command line options?
Don't think so, but we will need them for another things.
Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is, I mean, this whole security jazz and the question around this is pretty much specific to the CoreOS flavor. Also, these security flags are not relevant at all for the Fly flavor, because it, by definition, has no security. And it may be just an idea for future development of such things, is that it may make sense to have state-specific command line options, because especially in the context of the CoreOS flavor, we will have a very fine-grained security model with a lot of settings, seccomp and capabilities retain and remove and whatnot. And all of these things may not apply at all to some other flavors. So just my 5 cents, when we think about these options, it may make sense that we introduce some notion of stage-specific configuration.
It makes sense, because we are thinking also about adding, for example, option which will specify how many cores VM should have. And this doesn't affect another flavor, just KVM flavor.
Right.
I think that right now, by default, let's say, or just because we are a bit naive, we are adding option, mostly considering CoreOS flavor, like all the capability stuff, it's already there in place. And it's true, I was not taking into account that it doesn't work. It may not work for other flavors. So yeah, we should probably reconsider all the stuff a bit more. Yeah, but this is a bit tangential to what we were discussing, but you're right. Okay, I will fill up. I will file some issue with all this discussion and see. Thank you.
Okay. Stefan, we couldn't hear you. We still can't hear you.
Try again.
Hi, I'm walking from my stage.
Nope.
Can you hear me?
Are you underwater?
I think it was a mayday.
We can't hear you at all.
I'm afraid you've turned into dubstep.
Yes.
You said never mind, I think.
Okay.
No, I'm fine. Thank you. Good, actually. Stefan, we take it as a yes.
Okay. Now the next item. Lucas has an item about networking and KVM.
Yes, I was going to give update on this issue. I've got make some research recently, and we have some brainstorming, and we came up with idea how to resolve the code duplication in CNI, and I've already written a proposition on CNI GitHub to move tab device creation from Rocket, the KVM specific parts, into mainline CNI to offload for device creation and IP reservation to CNI to make it the proper way, and return only information to additional information to the Rocket at which interface was configured and what configuration apply inside the VM. And I'm intending to make the both flags. First one, input flag to indicate that the tab device should be created instead of virtual Ethernet pair. And second, that the name of interface which will be returned to make it optional to not break the current API. And I began work yesterday, so I don't have anything solid, but in the next couple of days, I will try to prepare point-to-point and bridge plugins and have some code to present as a proposition how this could look like.
Cool, thanks. And this is issue 251, probably. The support hypervisor container runtime for CNI?
Yes, it's related.
Okay. I think Alban is sending a link. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, now the next item. Lucas will again.
Yeah. Actually, it's a minor and quick question. I've made a couple of improvements to Rocket Monitor because we want to use it for benchmarking. The first thing was that it wasn't building the current Rocket version. I add a couple of improvements, and the question is if your guys interested to put it in the main line, I could prepare a pull request with it.
That would be.
The thing is that I've added timestamps to the CSV names, fixed building, added option to specify rocket binaries, option to specify stage 1, and also put stage 1 into the name.
Derek, if you want to comment,
Is Derek online?
should be.
Sorry, yeah, I'm here. I missed the question. What is it again?
I put on agenda link to request now yet on our fork of Rocket. I've made a couple of improvements for monitor because building with current version from master, and I fixed the building issues and added flag to specify stage 1, added flag to specify path with Rocket. Also add timestamps to CS files, output CSV files, and name of stage 1 used in tests.
Okay, you were. Sorry, your audio is kind of coming and going there.
He was mentioning that the rocket monitor wasn't working the current version on master, so he made some improvements to their
Yeah.
rocket.
The question is if you are interested to with such PR.
Yeah, I can review that.
Yeah, just file it and we'll comment there. Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
It's small sized as well, so it shouldn't be a problem. So it was very nice.
I was having a look at it right now, so I think that the last one that touched it was Sergius. It was the light stuff, and it was working at that point. With
the pure introduction of Glide, it still worked. It might have broke something when we merged the ARM build. So yeah, just submit a PR. I mean, it's legit to submit a PR, and if it works, then it works.
I saw that we broke it when we merged the ARM64 stuff because we moved a bit of parts here and there. And that's why it was broken.
Yeah, especially the beam path.
Sorry?
The beam path, it's now in /target, so that broke things.
Exactly. Okay.
That's
I submit PR. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Sure.
One question regarding, again, advanced and KVM. Next to the QEMU stuff, I think that Alban was reviewing it.
Sorry, you were asking about QEMU, right?
Yeah, remember there is a PR that has been ongoing.
Yeah, the first PR is still under review. I made all the corrections there,
Okay.
so I'm still waiting. And
What's the status of that?
we got the working version internally. We use it. But as I said, I got the first PR to introduce it, and it's still under review, and it's open pull request.
Okay. And
So
last time you were for Alban for something. Now it's still like still waiting for something. Or?
I think Alban.
I had a couple of comments. I corrected all of them. So waiting for merge or another comment.
Is it pull request 2664 or?
Yeah, it's the hypervisor thing.
Hypervisor support for KVM.
Oh.
No, just
Okay,
I was waiting for it because I had some other stuff that was conflicting with that, but in the end it was like.
Yes, I had also the problems with the ARM.
But just not fine because it was still under review for.
Anything more on this topic?
Yes, not.
The KVM hypervisor support item is now being added.
Just as I would like to merge it soon. And
I hope so.
I didn't know if we were forgetting about that or still going.
Okay.
Okay, that's it for the discussions. I had a demo about app-level operations, but I had some technical difficulties. So I guess we'll go ahead with the surge.
Okay. So, share screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. It's just essentially just a heads up. We have a new repository that is related to Rocket. It's called Rocket Builder. You see there is a huge amount of source code in it. Not so much. The reason of its existence is essentially just hosting this ACI image, which is called Rocket Builder, which you were implicitly building every time when we did a Rocket release locally. And the only thing that is happening here right now is that it's being versioned, it's being signed, it's being properly released, and it will also probably fasten up the release process itself. So it lives currently under this repository, just such that you know. And yeah, beginning from the next release, we will use this very image to build Rocket inside Rocket. So that's all from this topic from my side.
Looks good, thanks.
Yeah.
So does it mean the script will be removed from the Rocket repository? Will be there?
Yes. There's actually a couple of scripts removed from the Rocket repository. I removed the script which builds the ACI image. I removed another script which I forgot what it did, but I removed, I think, in total 3 scripts. So there is a work in progress PR, and I made a small mistake. I will do a small image release tomorrow, and then I will remove the do not merge label from work in progress PR against Rocket, and then ready for review and for merge.
My question about the time, does it mean it will be faster to do a release, or it doesn't change?
Yes, exactly. So what we do now when we do a release, part of the release process is building this very builder, which means installing a bootstrap, which downloads a Debian minimal base image. More concretely, and this takes quite some time, and it likes to break, as I found out, because all of a sudden SID does not package a GPG anymore, which essentially would have recognized in the next release. So now we have a stable basis, and all of this overhead of downloading the bootstrap-based image, installing the prerequisites on it, and the risk that it actually can break at any time because it's by the nature of Debian SID, it's a testing. All of these risks are kind of we know what we built. We know on what base we built Rocket. I didn't measure the improvement of time to beat, but it should be quite some.
Okay.
Next topic is yours too, so go ahead.
Sorry, the question to me? Oh, the next thing was also from me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let me on my screen again. So I made a proposition to move a couple of packages. And I thought I would have listed them here. Essentially, we have this EKG package, and there is a couple of
You have another
use-
ticket too, because I left a comment on the outside.
Sorry?
You have another ticket somewhere. Remember?
Yeah. I don't know where I have it. Yeah, for instance, PKG tar is a very good example. So we have this package here. It's called PKG tar, and it is used in other projects other than Rocket. In my opinion, I mean, it's nice that other people use our packages, but the other quite a hefty dependency, especially in the context of Glide, where people now have to take care that they remove or prune the whole vendor. So it's generally best practice to put these sorts of libraries, which are general purpose, in a location that has no vendoring at all. And at CoreOS, we have a canonical place for this, which is CoreOS PKG, which, as you see, is no vendoring at all. And these packages would live here. So I'm just wondering, because I actually listed all those thingies in here, I'm wondering why they do not appear. Just for your information.
It's 2886. 2886.
Great. Okay, yeah, so exactly. So these, thank you very much. I posted the wrong issue. So we have PKG file util, we have PKG multicall, sys, user, and group. And it's nice that we have these packages, and I would move all those candidates in the CoreOS PKG repository, unless I hear opposition in this community.
One thing is that we have still this Micro 6 PR, which is basically touching all of them first. And the second one, last time that I was looking at it, I think there are some bits that are related to Rocket specifically. So maybe just have a look at what is inside every single package, because I'm not sure if they are like generic or not. So for example, the group and the user one, I think is quite generic. The multi-call also, the tar too, but there may be some other one, if I'm not wrong, which are a bit more like linked to Rocket. Just have a look at it. And the other issue is that right now we have a loop between Go System D and PKG. And so this would be, watch out again. It's probably touching it, and probably you may end up introducing some other loops, so just have a look at it. But I will review it, no worry on next time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had a look at Godog and the dependencies upon those things, so it kind of looked green to me from eyesight when I went through those packages. I will do a test run first, locally on my machine, so to say, and then submit a PR, and then we can have a look at more detail. But I will essentially go through each and every package. The only reason I wanted to bring this up in this group is that I may have missed some obvious fact which you would have maybe brought up, but apparently not. I mean, I, of course, will be trying to be careful. I do not promise not to break anything.
Double negative.
So when we need to fix something in the package, does it mean we have to make a new release of that package and then change it in Glide? And will it?
Essentially, yes, it's correct.
Okay.
And PKG is now under version control with, as I see, not Semver semantics, but more systemd-like semantics. So yes, essentially yes, if you need a fix in PKG tar, you will have to bump the release CoreOS PKG, and then afterwards also bump the Glide dependency inside Rocket.
Do we want to do that after the Micro 6 stuff or
Good question. I would do it probably after.
Okay, thank you.
That's all from my side.
Yes, we have some more items. San Francisco Rocket has bring up issues that they would like to address? You are.
Sorry, didn't quite hear what you said.
Do you guys have anything to anything you would like to discuss?
I think that's it for me.
Nothing for me.
Cool then.
I believe that's it.
Yes, that's all from our side.
Okay, we
Thanks.
can conclude the week. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Goodbye.